एक साथ सलामी आम दो। जैसे थे।
विजय विश्व तिरंगा प्यारा झंडा ऊंचा रहे हमारा। विजय विश्व तिरंगा प्यारा झंडा ऊंचा रहे हमारा।
सदा शक्ति सरसाने वाला, प्रेम सुधा बरसाने वाला, वीरों को हर्षाने वाला, मातृभूमि का तन मन सारा।
विजय विश्व तिरंगा प्यारा झंडा ऊंचा रहे हमारा। विजय विश्व तिरंगा प्यारा झंडा ऊंचा रहे हमारा।
आओ प्यारे वीरों आओ, देश धर्म पर बल बन जाओ, एक साथ सब मिलकर गाओ, प्यारा भारत देश हमारा। विजयी विश्व तिरंगा प्यारा झंडा ऊंचा रहे हमारा। विजयी विश्व तिरंगा प्यारा झंडा ऊंचा रहे हमारा। चांदना इसकी जाने पाए, चाहे जान भले ही जाए, सत्य विजय करके दिखलाए, तब होवे प्रणपूर्ण हमारा। विश्व तिरंगा प्यारा झंडा ऊंचा रहे हमारा। विजयी विश्व तिरंगा प्यारा झंडा ऊंचा रहे हमारा। विजयी विश्व तिरंगा प्यारा झंडा ऊंचा रहे हमारा। A very good morning to one and all present here. Today we are here together on this platform to celebrate our 74th Independence Day. Independence Day is annually celebrated on 15th of August to remember the struggles and sacrifices of our martyrs for a long span of 200 years. As we all know that Independence Day is an auspicious occasion for all of us. It is the day when we got freedom from the British rule after many years of hard struggle by the great freedom fighters of India. After independence, we got all our fundamental rights in our own nation, our motherland. We all should feel proud to be an Indian and admire our fortune that we took birth on the land of an independent India. We cannot imagine by sitting here that how hard the independence was for India from British rule. We can never forget the sacrifices of Bhagat Singh, Khudiram Bose, Chandrasekhar Azad, and many more who lost their lives in their early age fighting for our country. How can we ignore Netaji and Gandhiji? Gandhiji taught us a big lesson on non-violence. Our country is developing very fast in the fields of technology, education, sports, finance, and various other fields which were almost impossible before freedom. This day helps India to display their developments in political, economic, and social departments on the global platform. This day marks as a reminder to every citizen of India that how all Indians should glorify India's past, present, and future. We all should always maintain unity to strengthen our country. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Good morning. Time to wake up, Rakshit.
Mama, please let me sleep today. It's a holiday.
Remember, it is our Independence Day. It marks the end of British rule in 1947 and the establishment of a free and independent Indian nation. Hence, it is celebrated through multiple festivities across India. And as a citizen of Indian nation, shouldn't you pay a tribute to the numerous lives lost to achieve our freedom?
But Mama, we have already studied about Rani Lakshmibai, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Nehru ji, Mahatma Gandhi ji through our textbooks.
For the first time in life, I think Rakshit is right. We are well versed in all these heroes. The unsung heroes?
Yes. Do you know that there are many revolutionaries who have laid down their lives for the country and people who have contributed to the society, served our motherland selflessly, and helped us in achieving our independence?
Unfortunately, these people have done great deeds but received little or no recognition for them.
Could you please tell us more about them?
Arundhati, you are so keen to build up a successful career. I am sure you will. It is so easy nowadays for girls to enter the field of their choice. But do you know who opened the gates for Indian women who wanted to be more than just housewives?
No, but I would surely like to.
You need to thank Anandibai Joshi, who is married off at the age of 9. She courageously overcame repression and stigma at a time when women's education was deemed irrelevant by the patriarchal society. She not only fought for her dreams, but also managed to train herself in Western medicine, becoming the only female physician from South Asia at that time.
Just like Anandibai Joshi, we have Dr. Kadambini Ganguly, a woman who broke the glass ceiling on women's freedom. Let me take you through her extraordinary journey. Incredibly confident, determined, and multifaceted, Kadambini was the voice of women's education and rights. She has many firsts to her credit. She was one of the first women graduates of India. She was one of the first female practitioners of Western medicine, not just in India, but in whole South Asia. The first woman to get admission at the Calcutta Medical College and join INC. On the day of her death, she, at the age of 63, conducted a critical operation on a patient. Her virtues and determination still exist as an inspiration for all women.
Wow, both are perfect examples of women who broke all the stereotypes and emerged in the mainstream with their heads held high.
Can you guess who was the first Indian ruler to triumph against the British? Let me give you both a hint. She was also the one who devised the first recorded suicide bombing in history.
I wonder, who could that be?
That was Velu Nachiyar, the little known queen from Tamil Nadu. Let me show you something about her. Being an only child, she was trained in horse riding, archery and martial arts, just like a male heir. Her husband was killed by the British. With the help of Hyder Ali, she managed to assemble a powerful army and defeated them in 1780. She devised the first recorded suicide bombing in history, as her commander-in-chief destroyed the stored ammunition of the British.
Now that's what we call the real bravery.
Talking of bravery, the old Gandhian woman, she was married off at the age of 12 to 60-year-old Trilochan Hazra. Being widowed at the age of 18, she devoted herself to working for social causes. She held untouchables. As she was an active member of INC, she was assaulted and arrested many times. At the age of 73, flag in hand, she walked into a barrage of bullets and continued chanting Vande Mataram till her last breath.
You'll be surprised to learn that India's youngest martyr was just 12 years old when he laid down his life for our nation. I'm talking about Baji Raut, the Odisha boat boy who oversaw the country boat at the Ghat. He was approached by the British troops on the fateful night of October 11, 1938. They ordered him to ferry them across the river, and guess what? He boldly refused.
The soldier hit him on his head with the butt of his gun. fracturing his skull. Baji collapsed, but continued raising his voice to warn the villagers. Another soldier pierced him with his bayonet, while a third shot him.
A poem was composed about Baji, which opens with the lines, "It is not a pyre, O friends, when the country is in dark despair. It is the light of our liberty, it is our freedom fire."
Now I know why India is known as the magical land. That's so much more than its culture, heritage, and diversity. What makes India so unique yet so accessible is the spirit of millions of Indians living in difficult surroundings and breaking norms along the way.
Currently, when our nation is battered by COVID-19, we thank all our heroes, that is, the doctors, health workers, and others who are helping us in the battle against the virus. Our country will emerge victorious. We are sure of that. After all, there is a fighter in every Indian.
Happy Independence Day!
जय हिंद, भारत माता की जय.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Independence Day. Vocal for local is the concept which dates back to the era of the Swadeshi movement, which started in 1905 as part of the Indian independence movement. On May 12, Prime Minister pitched Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India, in his address to the nation to announce special economic package. Importance of local manufacturing and supply chains in COVID-19 crisis was highlighted. He gave a call for being vocal about local and about the need to self-sufficient. Today, on the behalf of Zeba School for Children, we present a virtual debate by students of grade 6th to 8th on the topic Vocal for Local. Let's debate.
Rightly said by Misri. PM Modi's call for vocal for local is aimed at India becoming a hub of global supply chain. Prime Minister Narendra Modi firmly feels that India's movement of shaping a new world order post the pandemic has come. His call for an Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-dependent India, is not a claptrap. It is a call for a comprehensive self-renewal of the nation. When my friends speaking against the motion speak of an unfortunate return of isolation from the world and falling back upon oneself, the PM speaks of being self-reliant but not self-centered, and a future of togetherness and resilience. He talks about making India a strong economy and has also emphasized the need for a new globalization which needs to be human-centered.
I ask a question to my friend speaking for the motion that how can India become self-reliant till it creates innovation and intellectual property in its universities. Atmanirbhar Abhiyan has failed to make the poor, the farmers, the migrant workers and the industry to become self-reliant. Similarly, to make Made in India, made for the world, to expand globally and not be dependent on another country needs to have a clear roadmap as to how this goal should be achieved.
Rightly said by my friend Keshvi, the Prime Minister's vocal for local idea is to create more local brands and take those to the global arena and is a version of the Swadeshi movement. It is only possible with a focus on technology-based companies that could be scaled up faster. The Prime Minister's vision to focus on homegrown companies would encourage investors. Vocal for local can create China-like startup ecosystem where several other domestic companies earlier did not receive any intellectual support and technical know-how from the government and hence their growth remains stunted.
But my friend Pavini, when we talk about globalization period which began in the 1990s, let me say that the economic liberalization which began in the economic crisis led to a steady rise in foreign investment with the entry of global brands in the country. This phenomenon led to stiff competition between the Indian industries and the foreign business houses. Unable to compete, many small Indian brands got acquired by big multinational companies, except few big business houses such as Tata, Godrej, Reliance and Raymond. To name a few, many small brands fell by the wayside.
But my friend Ashrita, in the last 70 years, Indian government have not trusted its indigenous industries, resources and entrepreneur. After 1991, we handed the baton over to the foreign direct investments, that is FDI, multinational corporations and foreigners. This new system was capital based. Monopolization and capturing markets was a priority. The growth that happened was jobless, faceless and ruthless. By allowing the import of subsidized Chinese goods, we invited the job losses and the economic inequalities within our own border, put several local industries out of the business and made the people dependent on the government instead of nurturing them into the valuable contributors to the society.
Rightly said by Aryan, PM Modi announced a rupees 20 lakh crore economic package so as to revive India's economy that has been badly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. While vocal for local might have become the most trending phrase heard in the last few months, it is nothing but an extension of the Swadeshi movement idea conceived by some great freedom fighters of the country, including the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. The movement, which started in the early 1900s, called for the use of locally made products. The trend reached its peak after the First and Second World War, when British East India Company was busy in attending the needs of the countries engaged in war. So, Indian industry had a boom that lasted for some years till India attained independence.
eat local, wear local, and consume local has been an emerging trend. But can the COVID 19 induced global pause be the kick that it so desperately needed? Hopefully, yes. We see a lot of debate about turning Swadeshi. For have we not just spent the past 3 decades trying to be global citizens? In my opinion, going local is a global need this time. We need to revisit the small is beautiful concept and move towards having multiple smaller units across the nation instead of having a handful of big units that cater to most of the consumption. This may not be possible with heavy industries like steel, but can be definitely achieved in smaller industries like consumer grade products that can be built in smaller units catering to the local needs.
But, my dear friend, government's emphasis on self-reliance is just another costless catchphrase which will be forgotten soon. At a time when there is dearth of health and medical facilities, lack of sufficient COVID-19 test kits, and economy adversely affected, there is bound to be some political mileage to be gained from slogans of self-reliance. By tapping on this slogan, Prime Minister is also building on his favorite imagery of India being an all-powerful nation that fears no one, man or virus. But if this were to be taken out of the boundaries of the slogan and into realistic law and policy, then the nation would have a very heavy price to pay. The high protection walls built by earlier government made Indian exports extremely uncompetitive, which led to a foreign exchange crisis that brought the country to the verge of not being able to pay for its oil imports. Such vague policies will lead to the failure to compete internationally, leading to an exodus of foreign capital.
So we conclude by saying that using local products is definitely a necessity for India to be self-reliant or Atmanirbhar. Yet at the same time, because of international trade and shortage of availability of some resources, we have to rely on foreign market and the debate continues. What are your views about this? Thank you so much.
जनगणमनाधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन